Organization is a practice, not just a project. So in this Word Made Digital tutorial, we're going to be talking about some practices to get organized and stay organized that really work for you if you're feeling overwhelmed by tools and tasks and deadlines and details. So here we go. Hello my friends, my name is Joanne LaFleur. This is Word Made Digital Tutorials, and every week we come at you with a tutorial that's all about helping you communicate the best news in the world. So these tutorials are for churches and Christian organizations, and they're brought to you by the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities and Compassion Canada. These organizations want to equip you and serve you as the church, and they're making it possible for you to learn. So check out all the videos and wordmadedigital.com for more free resources and tutorial content. Okay, getting and staying organized. If you're anything like me, it has been a struggle and it didn't come naturally to me at all. It's something that I've had to learn along the way. If you talk to anyone that I've worked with in the earlier days, much grace was required for me to stay organized. So I have a few practical things that I've learned along the way that I hope will help you as well as you organize communications, media, and digital content in your organization. Tip number one to stay organized in communications is you need a communications request form. This is a form that people fill out if they are requesting something to be communicated. You want to have all the who, what, where, when, why details, asking the person who needs the communication to list everything out in detail so that you have everything in one place. The cheapest and a simple way to do that, a free way to do that, is you can use Google Forms, or you can create even a survey through Google. And it's a way for you to freely send a link to people on your team and get them to fill that information out. Including in your communication request form, you'd want to make sure you get any necessary files from them, any details about the who, what, where, as I've said, but also you want to make sure that this project is approved and confirmed by their leader. So there's no point in starting a meeting and having a big brainstorm session and going and spending a few hours working on a project only to discover later that the project wasn't approved or there's no budget for it or things like that. So you want to make sure in the communication request form that not only are you getting the details of the content of the project, the event, the program itself, but you also want to make sure that it's been approved. So it can be as simple as a checkbox that says, this has been approved by my boss, or this has been approved by my ministry leader, or whatever the language would be in your church. It can save a lot of pain and a lot of frustration later if you make sure that you've done that. So the nice thing about a communication request form is that everyone has an agreed upon script of what was given, the timing it was given, all the details of it are accurate because you've asked them to get it. You don't have to go searching and digging for the time, the place, the cost of that thing as a communications person. You've just saved yourself a ton of time by making them the expert at their own event. When they request communication and promotion for something, it's all right there. And then on that form, you can go back to it, you can bring it to a meeting, you can bring it with your boss, you can make sure at the end of the project you've checked everything off that you needed to do because it was all available in the communication request form from day one. And that will trigger whatever systems you have for deadlines and project build out and all that kind of stuff. Tip number two is Postit Notes. You may have noticed behind me here in these videos, I have Postit Notes on my wall. I use Postit Notes for a lot of things, and it's as simple for me as every new idea gets its own Postit Note. Each paper represents an idea, a thought, or a to-do. It depends on the project, but if we're brainstorming, every single idea in a brainstorm gets its own Post-it note and they all go up on the wall. Or if it's a to-do list, every single to-do gets its own Post-it and they all go up on the wall or they go around on the desk. Because then the beauty of something tactile like Post-it notes is that you can actually rearrange them. There's something that happens, I find, when we go tactile, not just digital, that I really enjoy and I find helpful for my organization. And then I can visualize it. So I get all my Post-it notes, maybe all my to-dos, and then I start listing them up on the wall, maybe grouping things that are common or like, or maybe I want to put them up in order of highest to lowest priority. And the beauty is, it's a Post-it note. You can peel it off, move it around, change things and shuffle as you need to. But it gave you a tactile exercise to get organized. And then of course, if you want to move that over to a digital platform, maybe you have another place you have your to-dos or your project management, it would be great to transfer it there. But sometimes all you need to do is get tactile first, and Postit Notes can be a great way to get organized, collaborate as a team, or get all of your ideas out of your brain and out into the world without being in a cumbersome application or an operating system program. For our next tips, I want to introduce you to my friend Marquis Murray. Marquis is both a marketing person, he runs an agency, and he comes with a church background and a worship leading background, but also he loves the church, but also he runs an organization that helps you get organized. He goes into businesses and helps them get systems and organization all set up. He is an expert at systems, structures, and saving you hours by getting things set up in the first place. So let's go to Marquis and learn from him. Marquis, tell me what we can do to be more organized as marketing and communication people today. What are some of the tools that you love?
Yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about one tool in particular called Asana. I'm a systems and processes person. I'm a list person. And whether for you that is analog or digital, doesn't really matter. Just get your stuff on a list. I think when it comes to working with teams though, it's really important to take that list in whatever format it's in and move it to a digital space so that other members on your team, other people that are involved in the project can have that same visibility that you do, because projects really start to fall apart and we become overwhelmed and unorganized when the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, right? And so for my team, like Asana really is that place. We call it our central, source of truth. And so if it's project related, getting started from the meetings you'd have with your team, just kind of document all the action items. So if someone said something in a meeting, you're discussing something as a team, right? Everything that you need to get done is an action item, and it's important to write that down right away. You don't wait till the end of the meeting. You don't do a recap. It's to-dos, quick to-dos, and then getting them all on the same page. If you're building out a larger project, I like to use Asana to create just simple style Kanban boards. That is simply, this is what we have to do. This is what's in progress, and this is what is done, right? And if everyone on your team has visibility on that list, can comment on those things, can add their various pieces of content or whatever it may be, links to other resources. It's just important to have that all in one place.
So for somebody who is like, that's all great if you started that way, but I'm in a big mess, what would you say to them?
I'm gonna say two things here. One, it's really important for each person to know what they do, know what they're responsible for, and have that documented somewhere so that you can, one, either communicate it to someone else, or if someone were to join you, they know exactly the things that you need to do every single day. So documenting your own processes, for me and for anyone that we work with, it's sitting down, blocking off time and saying, how do I do my job, right? Take your job description, that you would have been handed when you started, and really just look and see, how does that compare to what you're doing right now? How do I do my job? Write out all the steps so that and you have it on paper, how you do everything you do. And that could be, your morning routine. So you sit down at your desk, you open up email, you look through email, right? That's your step one. Step two could be getting into, a project or calling somebody, right? So it's just important to have that documented. And then the second step, once you know what you're responsible for, is really getting your team together and saying, we are going to have this intentional time together to look at how our company, how our business, how we operate, and get everyone on the same page. So it's, I'm just going to use, can we use church examples or yeah, okay, cool. So I'm going to use like the music director role, or the worship pastor, right? There's a lot of moving parts in that. And so a project, as we're moving into that season, could look like planning the, Christmas service or Christmas Eve service, right? And so how many musicians do you need? I mean, like churches have software like Planning Center, but if there is a big production, if there needs to be, refreshments served at some point, right? It's all those people coming together and saying, if this is our goal, to put on a stellar Christmas Eve service, mid-COVID, if that's remote or in person, whatever it looks like, what are the moving parts, who's involved, what does everyone need to do to accomplish that, and how can we tighten things up? Where's the overlap? Who's responsible for what segments? And then when we do need to hand it off to the next department or to the next team, who is doing that and what does that team need from them? So at some point, you all got to come back together, look through it, and just to make sense of it all.
And with all of this stuff, is there one person who's sort of the administrator? Would you advise, like, it's a team, is there someone who's maybe the housekeeper of the Google or the Asana or whatever it is that you're using? Or does everyone have equal onus of that? How does that work for you?
That's usually the most organized person on your team, right? Like the administrator, the account manager, in our company, that's either the ops manager or the project manager. And so as long as there's someone that we've designated is responsible for this, that could be a project manager, it could be, you can call them a champion or a team lead, whatever it is, that one person would be the keeper, of the Google Drive, would keep that organized, would be the one assigning tasks in Asana or Trello or whatever project management you're using. Monday.com is another great one to use. Airtable is another great one to use if you're used to more like Excel, spreadsheet type things. But having that one person that is championing the whole thing, moving the team through, and then more or less giving marching orders to the other people that are involved.
You're so good at this that you have like a company that helps people. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, what is the common, when you go in as an organization, what would be like the top one or two things that you help people with?
So Ditto works with companies to create systems and processes, process documentation on all the things that they do, and then help them set up their project management. We use Asana at the core to do all of that. Because we find that the biggest thing is that there is this, what we call tribal knowledge, that, at one point was passed down, through storytelling, right? Or, and then they started putting it on walls inside of caves, right? Or scrolls, and then books, right? And now we have these thick manuals and binders that nobody ever reads, that has a thick layer of dust on it, and it's not accessible to the rest of the team. And so coming in, we would basically put together all of those processes in a place, make them actionable, and really align the teams.
Marky, thank you so much. It was amazing to just get a glimpse into your brain and how you work and how you think through systems, how if it doesn't happen in Asana, it doesn't exist, how you're getting everybody on the same page. So whether it's Asana or it's Basecamp or it's Trello or it's Monday, whatever program you use, select a system and have everyone use the same system. Everything should go in that system. So if you had the Post-it notes, like my last tip, get all that Post-it note content, first work it out tactile, and then move it digital so that everyone has an agreed upon script and a agreed upon deadline for every single thing that you're working on together. It makes passing it off as well a much simpler process. The other thing that he said that was so brilliant was this idea of getting things out of someone's brain like a living memory and into a way that can be passed to somebody else, both so that the team can grow and be structured for more people joining and getting involved and helping with projects, but also so that when that person moves on, they're able to have someone else come in and replace them in the role, and it can run really smoothly. For more tools, for more tips on all the ways to be organized, we've written some articles. You can find them on wordmadedigital.com. And if you want more tutorials, you want more content like this, every week we're coming out with a new tutorial. We have podcasts, we have all kinds of resources. We'd love you to go to wordmadedigital.com to find out more. A big thank you to our sponsors who make these videos possible. We wouldn't be able to get these tutorials and this kind of content to you week after week if it wasn't for these organizations that love to serve you and serve leaders in the local church. So the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities is one of these organizations that sponsors these videos. They have over 3,300 members across the country, and they help with things like accounting and legal and HR, and they kind of act like an extension of your ministry team, helping with things and resourcing you with tools that you may may not actually have on your own team. So go to the website, the link's down below. We'd love you to check out what they do and how they can serve you. Of course, thank you also to Compassion Canada, who is about the local church. They are the local church here and the local church around the world. That's how they serve. And this Christmas, if you're looking to figure out what your gifts are, it's an unusual Christmas this year, isn't it? We would love you to go to compassion.ca/gifts. The link will be down below, and want you to check out what they're offering as gifts this year that can make a difference in the lives of people all around the world, and children have been hugely affected by COVID-19. So if you're looking for a gift for someone, check that out. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this tutorial. We'll be back next week with another video to help you tell the best news in the world.